This is Histories and Mysteries Uncovered. I'm Ashley.
And I'm Jessica, and happy
Happy
Halloween.
Halloween! Do 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 do. I don't know.
Hooray.
I don't really know where that came from. What's your little girl going as for Halloween?
Bluey.
Oh,
But
that's so
it's like
cute.
last year I tried getting her a Bluey costume, which was super cute, and it was like a onesie
Yeah.
with like a like a Bluey's head is the hat. It was super
Okay.
cute.
Yeah.
And this year I got her like this, it's a one piece, but it's a skirt,
Oh, cute.
and it has a hood instead of a headpiece.
Uh-huh.
With like Bluey's face. It's super cute. And I'll just put
Oh.
some obviously I'll put pants underneath, but
Yeah.
it's really cute. And she gets to go to dance class in it tomorrow, and I'm so excited because
Oh,
it
that's
has like a little tail
adorable.
sticking out the butt
Oh,
too.
that's really cute. I love that.
Yeah. What about your kiddos?
Um, Oliver is going as Obi-Wan Kenobi,
Oh,
and Mara's going as Yoda.
so
She's got like a
cute.
little Yoda hat with little ears.
Oh, like baby Yoda.
Yeah, no, she's going as regular Yoda. So,
Oh, that's creepy.
well, here's why. I was
Okay.
trying to find Star Wars characters that kind of go together. And at first, I wanted her to be Chewbacca because she makes this funny Chewbacca noise. But the costumes for like a Chewbacca for a baby were like $90. I was like, I'm not spending $90 on a costume. So I was like, well, let's think of something else. And I was like, oh, they could go as like R2D2 and C3PO. Again, couldn't really find costumes. I could make a R2D2 one that was pretty easy, but I couldn't think of an easy way to do a C3PO. So I was like, okay, well, how about Luke Skywalker and Leia because they're brother and sister, right? Well, I couldn't find a freaking Luke Skywalker costume for his size. So I found an Obi-Wan Kenobi one, and so I figured she could be Yoda because they were in the same time thing. I thought a lot into his costumes this year.
Interesting.
But I guarantee you he's gonna throw a fit and not wear it. I feel it in my bones. I feel it in my mom bones.
That was Evie last year. I was devastated. I drove
Yeah.
6 hours that she could go have Halloween with her cousins, and she did not want to go out.
Oh, toddlers. The
But
worst.
I think she's going to do really well this year
Hmm.
because she loves playing dress up now.
Okay.
And Nightmare Before Christmas is like her favorite movie right now.
Cute.
And we have this scary vampire Halloween decoration that
Uh-huh.
makes noise and shakes.
Uh-huh.
Eyes glow red, and he's very loud, and she loves him. He was
Oh.
literally like cupping his face today.
Oh.
But I'm gonna be I've never been able to decorate my house for Halloween because I'm a poor bitch. Um but Facebook Marketplace, I found somebody that was selling all of their Halloween decorations for like $50.
Oh shit.
Yeah, and it was like boxes full of shit.
Oh my gosh, that's
So I have
awesome.
stuff that I can like stake into my garden. They gave me lights, this old jukebox thing that makes noise, and there's like a skeleton head inside. And
That's so cool.
yeah, so I got a ton of shit from them. So I was finally able to like decorate my house this year. And this scary vampire thing, I so if you look at my house, I have columns
Hmm.
on either side, like the stairs go up, then there's columns. I put the vampire behind one of the columns, so you can't really see what it is when you're walking up.
Uh-huh.
And the sensor is on his face. So kids have to go to the left of my door to push the doorbell, but my door on the right is the only one that opens.
Oh my
And that's
gosh.
exactly where the vampire is. So
That's hilarious. That's going to be really entertaining.
I'm gonna scare the shit out of some kids this year.
I'm really excited because we have a bunch of people coming over to my house, like with little kids. And so we're all gonna have, I'm gonna put like our fire pit in the driveway. We're gonna have a fire. I'm gonna have some drinks, and we're gonna hand out candy and take the little ones around trick or treating. It's gonna be a good time if
Oh,
my toddler doesn't ruin it. So we'll see.
yeah, fingers crossed.
I don't know why. I don't know why. Like I said, I just feel it in my bones.
Yeah.
But he has his little like toddler time school or whatever, and they're having their Halloween party on Monday, so he'll be able to wear his costume that day too. So
Good.
maybe that'll get him used to it. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. Oh, hopefully. Fingers crossed.
Yeah. So everybody out there, cross your fingers for a good toddler night for me.
Well, without further ado,
Yeah.
Ashley is going to be telling the story of the Cursed Exorcist movie set.
Yeah.
And I will be talking about the murder of Martha Moxley.
That
She
sounds
was
so familiar.
she was murdered on Halloween.
Martha Moxley. I think I know that story. I can't place it right now, but I
I'm
feel
sure
like I
you do
do.
as well because
Yeah.
of who the family is tied
Okay.
to.
Okay.
So
All right.
I'm sure you'll know what it is as I get into it.
I feel like it's a pretty
It is.
well-known true crime case. I feel like maybe I heard it on a podcast I listened to, but I don't know. I'll have to wait and see. I'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, it's something.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's something else. So
My story is pretty crazy too. Before I get into it though, if you want more of us, you should check out our Patreon. We are uh recording that episode next, and we're doing scary ghost stories because it's getting released on Halloween. So if you want more of us, join us at our Patreon. It's $3 a month, and you get a bonus episode each month that we usually have you guys vote on what you want, and you get a cool sticker.
it's pretty chaotic, which is fun.
Yeah, super fun.
Also, before we start, I'm so sorry, everybody, but I have to point this out. This really cool picture behind me is
Ooh.
my mother did it. It's diamond art and it's Hocus Pocus.
Oh, that's so cool.
And she got me these cute little gnomies,
Oh,
like
I love that.
Halloween gnomes. Oh my God. Okay, my webcam is like totally stuck. But these cute little gnomies. So he has like a little jack-o'-lantern and they have like candy corn hats. And a couple of them have like brooms and they're really cute.
Those are really cute. I
Yeah.
love them.
But she got them for me for my birthday.
Love that.
Because my mother knows me very well.
That's awesome.
I just have to point that out because,
I love it. That's really, really cool.
yeah.
I have a Sanderson museum black candle type sweatshirt that I'm gonna wear on Halloween. Are excited. Okay, so if you guys want a recap of the Exorcist movie, what the case is actually, or what the movie's actually about, the kind of true story behind the movie The Exorcist, I covered that in episode 17 of our podcast. So if you want to hear that, but this story is going to be about the movie set and all the cursed things that happened. So I used New York Times, the Lad Bible, Y Entertainment, and All That's Interesting.
Okay.
And I think I used like a couple other random websites that I forgot to put in
I'm
here.
sure you used Wikipedia.
I did not. You rude. I stopped using it because you make fun of me. And listen, listen. I know Wikipedia is not a good source of information. However, they've got great timelines that you can use and then verify on other sites. Also, if you ever just want to know like a date, like when were they born? When did they die? It's a great spot. It's right there on the side. All right. All right. Anyway, The Exorcist. Whether or not you love horror films like we do, you've definitely heard of this movie. And it's no easy feat because it came out 50 years ago, Jessica.
So just when you were born.
You shut up, you.
Oh, wow.
Actually, 50 years ago this year is when it came out.
I was gonna say you were born.
No, I was born in 86. Thank you. This came out in 73.
For my husband.
So I already lost my spot. There it is. It starred Linda Blair, who I'm sure we've all heard of by now because of her. Like when I hear Linda Blair, it's synonymous with horror for me now. Sorry, my dog was chewing on my chair. So when it was originally released back on December 26th, 1973, it was only released to 24 theaters. There were super long lines to get in to see these showings that were all sold out. It was rumored that some viewers suffered passing out, throwing up. One even blamed a miscarriage on watching this movie. At the one and only sneak peek of the film, audiences screamed and left the theater. It was even banned in some cities in the UK. But aside from all of that, people loved it. It was the first horror film to be nominated for an Academy Award for Best Picture. It was also nominated for 9 other categories. And in 2010, the Library of Congress selected this film for preservation at the United States National Film Registry for being, quote, culturally, historically, or aesthetically significant. And it's even created a bit of a tourist spot in Georgetown, Washington, D.C., where you can see the steps that the priest falls down in the end.
Why didn't you bring me?
So, where we were in D.C., it's pretty far off. Like, we would have had to either drive or metro there. But the stairs are super steep. Super steep.
Like Harper's Ferry steep.
Yes.
Yeah.
But they're just brick stairs that it's like along the side of a building. But yeah, if you fell down those, you would for sure die. Now, did you know that making this film was supposedly cursed, Jessica?
Yes.
Let me tell you about it.
No, I already know it.
Okay, the end.
Go on over to Patreon where you can have like good stories that aren't stopped.
Okay, so this podcast, this movie had injuries, deaths, a fire, and even a murder, Jessica, and even possibly a serial killer.
I didn't know that.
That's very interesting. So let me tell you all about it. So one of the injuries was to Linda Blair herself. Do you remember that scene where she's in bed and it's before she has become like completely demonized and she's kind of flailing in bed, almost like doing crunches?
Breaks her back, right?
Yeah. So what happened is she's on a board and the board is mechanically run and it's the one that's like pushing her up and down, kind of like doing crunches or whatever. Well, and they did several scenes and it was fine. And in one scene or another take, somehow the lacing came off. And so when she was coming up and down, she was actually in pain and it fractured her back. And that's actually the scene that they kept in the movie. So when you're watching that movie and you're watching her crying in pain, that is real pain.
Well, and I find that happens a lot with movies that they keep those final
Yeah.
painful takes, like in Lord of the Rings,
Mm-hmm.
when he kicks the helmet and he actually broke his foot.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Did you know that? So in Fellowship of the Ring, at the very, 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 very end, when Sam is going into the river, like the river after Frodo,
Uh-huh.
um, Sean Astin actually stepped on a very large piece of glass that they forgot, like that they missed.
Ooh.
He had to be airlifted out of there.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, because he had like a giant piece of glass in his foot.
That's
Like
crazy.
split his foot.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's awful. Yeah, and so the same type of thing happened here where poor 13-year-old Linda fractured her back. And that's an injury that she's dealt with the rest of her life. It caused severe injuries to her. And then she said,
Question.
yes.
Linda Blair is the actress, not the character's name.
Yeah, the character's name is Reagan.
Oh.
Yeah, see, synonymous, right? Like even mix up that it's the character.
Because honestly, like Linda Blair seems more like a character's name.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that was the actress.
Oh shit.
Yeah. So she said, quote, I'm crying, I'm screaming. They think I'm acting up a storm. It fractured my lower spine. And no, they didn't take me to the doctor. It is the footage that's in the movie. And she had a lot of difficulty living with the aftermath of The Exorcist. She said the back injury was far more serious than I ever imagined and really affected my health negatively for a long time. And she also said that after filming ended, a lot of people were scared of her and almost saw her as like this demon. And she had to have bodyguards follow her around and things like that. And she won't even talk about that time in her life anymore. It's too upsetting for her, which is really unfortunate.
That's insane that like
Yeah.
one movie can
Yeah.
do that to you. Well, it's kind of like the actor, like I think it's Brandon Gleeson that played Joffrey,
Yeah.
right? Like people hate him.
He was so good at it that you
Yeah.
hate him.
Yeah. And apparently he's a super nice guy, but people just absolutely hate him
Yeah.
because of how he played this character.
Oh, that's sad.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Linda wasn't the only person in the film who was injured. Ellen Burstyn, who played Linda Blair's mom in the movie, so she played Reagan's mom, also ended up with a permanent injury to her coccyx. In the film, Reagan, aka Linda Blair, slaps her mom across the face and her mom goes flying across the room. So to do this, they put Ellen in a harness and a guy had like a rope and he pulled her and it swung her across the room. And they did a few takes and the director told the guy to really pull hard and he did, and poor Ellen went flying and broke her coccyx.
Oh shit.
Yeah, she said, quote, I said, he's pulling me too hard, Billy. That was the director, Billy Friedkin. And Billy said, well, it has to look real. And I said, I know it has to look real, but I'm telling you, I could get hurt. So Billy said, okay, don't pull her so hard. And as I turned away, I felt him signaling the guy and he smashed me on the floor. She said, I expected Billy to yell cut. Instead, I saw him touch the cameraman's arm to move the camera closer, and I was screaming at the top of my lungs. Through my screams, I said, turn the fucking camera off.
Jeez.
Poor Ellen. She also said that she has had permanent issues with that coming from this movie.
Wow.
Another crew member lost his toe, and a
Oh,
carpenter for the
what?
movie accidentally chopped off his thumb.
Oh my gosh. Same, bro.
What?
Wow.
Did you say same, bro? Did you chop off your toe?
Oh, I've accidentally cut the tip of my thumb off a couple times.
Oh, same, bro. Now, injuries are awful, but the set also had 9 deaths,
Oh my
supposedly.
God.
Yes. So one actor, Jack McGrowan, who played the film director Burke Dennings and Reagan's first victim, she threw him down, or she threw him out of a window in the movie. Before the film was even released, he died of the flu during London's flu epidemic.
Gosh.
Then Vasiliki, I meant to look up how to say her name. It's Vasiliki, played the deceased mother of the father. And so she was dead, but in the movie, but they had her in there through like flashback scenes and stuff like that. She died before the film was released of natural causes, which she was really elderly, so that makes sense. But then, while filming, Max von Sydow, who played Father Lancaster Marin, found out that his brother died. Linda Blair's grandfather died. A cameraman's newborn baby died. A night watchman died for who watched the set. And then Barton Heyman, who played Dr. Klein, died a few years after the film was released of heart failure. And Lee J. Cobb, who played the detective trying to solve the Burke Dennings murder, died 3 years after of a heart attack.
But it, okay.
So the first ones actually happened while filming, and then I added these last two in because they were both of a heart attack 3 years after, which I thought was kind of weird.
Just because they're old and unhealthy.
It could be, or it could be the curse.
Okay. Let me
Then,
pull up my Ouija board, Ashley, and I'll tell you.
no, Then, at the very beginning of filming, a bird flew into the light and caught the whole set on fire, and it actually delayed filming by 6 weeks. The
Wow.
entire set burned to the ground except for one room. And the one room was Reagan's room, where they had been filming the Exorcist scene right before the fire broke out.
Wow.
So, after all of this, the director had a priest come and bless the set just to make people feel better.
So why was the set cursed if it's just a movie?
Well, I think because they were dealing with some pretty satanic issues, and anytime you
Yeah, but
kind
were
of
they summoning anything? Did they have Ouija boards?
no, but they some people believe that if you even kind of dabble in that stuff, or how they were kind of recreating that stuff, it welcomes in things. And the after the movie was released, a lot of religious people were coming forward and saying that there was actually like the film itself, like the actual like film that you put in the projector, had like evil in it. And they had all these things, about how it was evil, how people were throwing up and vomiting, and they had ambulances outside. And some of that was true, but some of it was also amazing PR.
Yeah, that I can understand.
Yeah. So, as I said in the beginning, there was also a murderer on set. So, there's a scene where Reagan gets an angiogram, which is a procedure back in like the 70s. I don't know if they do it the same way now. I didn't really look into it, but they stick a needle into an artery and there's a spray of blood that happens. And the director of the film, William Friednick, saw an angiogram happening and was like, this is fucking awesome. I need this in my movie. Hey, everybody in this room, you want to be in a movie. So he actually hired the doctor and all the techs and the radiology tech for that scene. So in that scene, when you see Reagan in the hospital getting an angiogram, those are all real medical professionals.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And one of the people in the room was a radiology tech named Paul Bateson. And for all they know, Dr. Barton Lane from the radiology lab described Paul as the most experienced, and he was the best. He taught me an awful lot, and I considered him a good friend. I didn't realize until many years later that he had killed a man. I thought it was bizarre. I just had no idea. So in the 1970s, Paul was living in Brooklyn and enjoyed S&M and the leather subcultures of Greenwich Village.
Or
Apparently
same.
he same bro. Apparently he also drank a quart of vodka a day.
Not same.
So he was an alcoholic. And because of the alcoholism, I said alcohol and I was like, I don't think that's where this word goes. And then I was like, no, it does. So I just said ism. So that was the thought process there. Because of his alcoholism, he couldn't hold down a job for very long. And one night in September of 1977, a man by the name of Addison Barrow was a reporter for Variety, was found beaten and stabbed in his apartment. Now, Addison was also a gay man, and in the 70s, people like didn't care if gay men were murdered, like they were assholes.
Yeah. Listen to my Stonewall episode.
Exactly. And so one reporter for the Village Voice, which is like an iconic gay news journal, named Arthur Bell, wrote a scathing article about how gay men were getting murdered and no one gave a fuck. He said that there were psychopaths roaming the New York streets and no one cares. A few days after his article was published, Arthur received a phone call, an anonymous phone call, that said, I killed Addison. Look, I like your story and your writing, but I'm not a psychopath. He told Arthur that he had met Addison at Badlands, which is a gay bar, and that he partied with him until 3 a.m. After that, they went to a gay BDSM club called Mine Shaft before going to Addison's apartment to have sex. And then he said, so this is all a phone call, anonymous. Something hit me, said the caller. Addison hadn't been reciprocal. It wasn't just the sex act itself that wasn't reciprocal, it was the soul act too. I wanted a lasting thing, something that would go beyond sex into friendship, a lover, or marriage. So I decided to do something I've never done before. He said he went to the kitchen, got a frying pan, and hit Addison in the head with it. Then he, quote, went to a drawer at the right hand side of the kitchen, removed a knife, and stuck it into Addison's chest.
Oh my gosh.
I plunged it too high. I should have stuck it a bit more forward the center, or a bit more toward the center left.
Wow.
Now, remember, this call was anonymous, so police couldn't tell who it was. But later that night, that same Village Voice reporter got another phone call from someone who said they knew who the murderer was. They said it was Paul Bateson, an unemployed alcoholic former x-ray technician. He reported that Paul had called him to confess because he had to, quote, share his experience with somebody. So police went to interview Paul, and he confessed to everything and even showed police Addison's passport and credit cards that he had stolen.
Wow.
During the trial, he backtracked and claimed that he was innocent, but no one believed him, and he received 20 years in prison. And here's where it gets creepier. Many people believe that Paul is actually a serial killer responsible for 6 bag murders, apparently that happened between 1975 and 1977, the year that Paul went to jail. Police were finding mutilated and dismembered body parts washing up on the Hudson River in black plastic bags. They were able to trace some of the clothes back to this clothing shop in Greenwich Village, whose primary customer was gay men in the leather subculture. But nothing more ever came of that case because that was as far as they got, and that's all they had. But while Paul was in custody, he bragged to a friend that he killed and dismembered multiple men. And according to the prosecutor, Paul said, quote, he told Mr. Ryan that killing is easy, that getting rid of the bodies is the hard part. He said that he cut up his victims and put the parts in plastic garbage bags to dispose of them. But since there was no evidence of any kind linking Paul to those murders, nothing came of it, and those murders remain unsolved to this day.
Wow.
Paul was released on August 25th, 2003, after serving 23 years in jail at the age of 63. He may have passed away in 2015, but no one knows for sure because he disappeared from the headlines. But they did find a death certificate with his same name and social security number saying that he died in 2015. So
interesting.
Yeah. And I wanted to leave with a quote from the director. He said, I'm not a convert to the occult, but after all I've seen on this film, I definitely believe in demonic possession. There are things that cannot be treated by medical or psychiatric means. It seems strange, foreign, and impossible, but it exists. He continued, we are plagued by strange and sinister things from the beginning. It is simply the hardest thing I have ever done in my life. Dun, dun, dun. Dun, dun, dun. That's the curse of the Exorcist set.
Crazy.
Yeah, I thought the serial killer part was the craziest.
I don't think it had anything to do with the set. I think a lot of the stuff is very circumstantial.
You're supposed to be my believer, Jessica.
Because I find that only a couple things happened on set. Like, I think
Yeah.
it was, what, the 70s?
Yeah.
So it was their tech wasn't that great. So I don't really think their special effects are going to be that great.
Yeah.
There's bound to be some issues.
Mm-hmm.
They were women that were injured.
Yeah.
So a lot of the time men don't give a crap.
Yeah, and they don't listen when they say, hey.
I mean, how many thousands of people died from that influenza that went through London or whatever?
But he worked on The Exorcist.
I think that if more things happened on set,
yeah,
and there were, more occulty things that were used on set,
yeah,
then I would believe it a little bit more.
well, they did have that statue of their demon that actually got lost and delayed filming. They made this huge stone statue of the demon that in the very beginning of the movie they're supposed to like uncover, and they had it shipped and it got lost and delayed filming again.
Oh. I do think it's very interesting. Do I think it was because of the set?
Yes.
You never know. Hey, I'm giving you a taste of your own medicine. So.
It's true. It's true. I'm usually the cynic.
Yeah. It's very interesting. Potentially things could be linked. However, I do think it was just a lot of terrible luck.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
All right. Well, tell me about your terrible true story.
My true story versus your not true story.
My urban legend story.
All right. I used marthamoxley.com, all that's interesting, and a couple of other small news articles. So let's dive on it.
I'm looking her up.
No, don't do that.
No, I just want to see her picture.
Okay. Within the first few points, you're probably going to know why you know the story.
Okay. Go ahead.
On August 30th, 1960, Martha Elizabeth Moxley was born. She was raised in Piedmont, California, alongside her elder brother John and her parents. The Moxley family moved to Bellhaven, which was a wealthy, is it Greenwich? Like Greenw?
Yeah, Greenwich. Yeah.
Oh, I knew it.
Hey, that's where my serial killer was, Greenwich.
I know. Oh, maybe.
It was around the same time, too.
Maybe it was him.
Well, he targeted gay men.
Oh, just kidding. So, sorry, it was a wealthy Greenwich, Connecticut neighborhood. And they moved there in 1974.
Oh, mine was Greenwich Village, New York.
Oh, okay. There we go. Just kidding.
We're on the same
Terrible
page now.
start. Martha's mom, Dorothy, and it is Dorothy, not Dorothy. I thought that they made a mistake because there was two different spellings in the All That's Interesting article, but I looked at other sources and it was Dorothy.
Okay.
Yeah. She said it was one of those neighborhoods the kids could just go out and meet people. It was very safe. Not even the teenagers' cross-country move could phase her. She was voted middle school's best personality and had little trouble making new friends.
Oh, middle school. That's so cute.
I know. She had the friends, the grades. She was playing on the basketball team. She had it all.
Good for her.
That was until Halloween of 1975. The nephews of Ethel Skakel and her husband, Robert F. Kennedy, the brother of President John F. Kennedy, were Michael and Thomas Skakel. So, Michael and Thomas Skakel were the nephews of Robert F. Kennedy.
Okay.
Okay. Rushton, the brother of Ethel Skakel, and his spouse Anne had 7 children. And yes, his name is Rushton, like Rush Ton.
Okay.
Rushton. How weird. Among them were Michael Skakel and Thomas Skakel, who were both 15 and 17 years old when Moxley was killed in 1975. The Skakels were not a happy family.
Oh.
Michael would later attribute the ongoing problems in the Skakel household on chronic illness, alcoholism, and a repressive Catholic moral and sexual outlook.
Yeah, none of that sounds good.
No. Rushton's alcoholism grew worse, and Skakel passed away from brain cancer in 1973. and he frequently left the children home alone with little supervision and an endless supply of money. Following his mother's passing, Michael claimed that an even more intensive level of chaos came to rule our household. Due to this lack of parental guidance, there was always a slew of teens coming and going to the home, and they were just 150 yards away from the Moxley residence. Nice and close, rich neighborhood, unsupervised, rich kids who are used to getting what they want.
This doesn't sound good.
Is it ringing a bell yet?
No.
Okay.
But I know her name.
Yeah. I was really thinking that as soon as I mentioned that they were related to the Kennedys, that it was going to click for you.
Yeah. I do have the memory of a goldfish, though, so.
That's fair. I mean, okay. I was going to say don't be offensive to goldfish, but
My friend had a goldfish when she was in high school, and he had a brown spot on his head, so she named it Shithead.
I love that. Martha had mixed feelings about the Skakel boys, especially in relation to some unwanted advances they were making towards her. She wrote in her diary, dated September 12th, 1975, Dear Diary, me, Jackie, Michael, Tom, Hope, Maureen, and Andra went driving in Tom's car. I was practically sitting on Tom's lap because I was only staring. He kept putting his hand on my knee. Then I was driving again, and Tom put his arm around me. He kept doing stuff like that. Then, on September 19th, she wrote, so this was a few days later. Sorry, just readjusting. Michael was so totally out of it when he was being Michael was so totally out of it that he was being a real asshole in his actions and words. He kept telling me that I was leading Tom on when I don't like him, except as a friend. I said, well, how about you and Jackie? You keep telling me that you don't like her and you're all over her. He doesn't understand that he can be nice to her without hanging all over her. Teenagers in Greenwich called the evening before Halloween Mischief Night.
Oh, yeah.
Young people.
We called it Devil's Night.
Oh my God, you little rebel.
I mean, I didn't do anything. I was a little good girl, but that's what we called it, Devil's Night.
Oh.
Did you guys call it anything?
All Hallows Eve? I don't know.
No, that's Halloween.
Oh, I don't fucking know then.
You guys don't have a name for the night before Halloween?
No.
Oh.
No.
Well, that's why Canadians are lame. Continue.
It's also why we don't have a lot of countries at war with us.
You don't know.
Oh my God. Oh.
You don't know nothing.
So this Mischief Night was when young people would go around the neighborhood pulling practical jokes. The evening never produced anything more serious than a lawn covered with toilet paper. So just mindless fun.
Yeah.
But
I saw one person, sorry, I don't mean to interrupt again, but I saw one person that was talking about Halloween pranks, and they stuck hot dogs on sticks and then stuck them in their drive, like along the driveway edge, and said it was Halloweenied.
That's awesome.
I love
That's so cute.
fun pranks like that, you know?
Exactly. And that's what this was.
Yeah.
Until that changed on Mischief Night in 1975. Martha went out with her friends that night, but when she still hadn't arrived home by 4 a.m., her mother began to worry and started calling her friends. Then in the morning, she still hadn't returned, so her mom kept calling around to see if anybody had seen or heard of her daughter's whereabouts. I'm going to let us all know now. It gets pretty graphic. So just a little warning. Dorothy was informed by another friend of Martha's that she was last seen the previous evening with Tom Skakel. Michael Skakel answered the door when Dorothy knocked that day and told her he hadn't seen her daughter. Sheila, who was a friend of Martha, made a horrifying discovery shortly after midday. The missing Martha lay face down beneath a big pine tree at the edge of the Moxley property. Though there was never any proof of a sexual attack, her clothes were covered in blood and her jeans and panties were pushed down to her ankles. A 6-iron golf club, which had been used to repeatedly hit Moxley, was lying close to the teenager. The club had been split into 3 pieces due to the force of the contact.
Oh my God.
One of the broken pieces of the club had also been used to stab her in the neck. Investigators soon found that missing bits from a matching Tony Penna club in the Skakel residence matched those found at Moxley's murder scene. Anne Skakel's name was carved on the handle of the shattered club in the Skakel residence. Detectives naturally concentrated their inquiry on Tom Skakel, as he was said to have been the last person to see her alive. Tom admitted to detectives that he had last saw Moxley outside of his home at 9:30. Remember these times.
Okay.
So he had last seen her outside at 9:30. Sorry.
9:30. Okay.
After bidding her farewell, he walked inside to watch The French Connection with Kenneth Littleton, who was the family's new live-in tutor. He then retired to his room to continue working on his Abraham Lincoln School report. But his teachers denied ever assigning this homework to him.
Oh.
And he also doesn't really seem like the type of kid that would be doing homework on Halloween.
Gotcha.
You know?
Yep.
Eventually, a lie detector test was administered to Tom Moxley. Oh, that's fucking wrong. To Tom Skakel, who passed it, and he was never charged with anything. Okay. Fall of 1976 also saw an investigation into Kenneth Littleton, the tutor. It is said that Littleton was unaware of who Martha even was, and it was his first night in the Skakel residence the night that she was killed. Littleton was never charged in relation to the case, despite the fact that he failed multiple lie detector tests. Yeah. Oh, remember, these people have money.
Yeah.
Based upon the scene analysis, it was determined that Martha was hit around 10 p.m. When Michael was questioned, he indicated that he had gone to his cousin's house around 9:15 p.m. and hadn't returned until 11 p.m. And that was that. The case went cold.
Oh my gosh. Even though they found part of the golf club in their house.
Uh-huh.
When you first said that, I was like, oh, great. Cut and dry. This is a lock. Let's go.
Yep.
Wow. Wow.
It went cold for 20 years.
Oh my gosh.
The only reason this case came back to the light was because somebody had started a rumor that William Smith Kennedy had been involved. Although it was determined that these rumors were false, but Michael now became their prime suspect.
Good.
I don't know why now.
Yeah, but about time.
And the reason that William was became a suspect and was kind of rumored to have been involved in this was because he was currently facing a rape charge in Florida.
Oh.
Yeah. Rushton Skakel, who employed a private investigator to clear his family name, was the one who initiated the investigation. into his son. In private, he hoped that evidence would surface that would raise questions about other suspects, particularly the former suspect, Kenneth Littleton, the tutor. But his scheme backfired on him.
Good.
Jim Murphy, who was a former FBI agent, and is that the guy that like created profiling? Was that Jim Murphy? I
Googling
swear
it.
that was his name. Like that was the Mindhunter guy.
John Douglas.
Oh, just kidding.
Very close though.
Same first initial.
Yeah. It's almost there.
So Jim Murphy, a former FBI agent, and Willis Billy Krebs, a former NYPD lieutenant, were the two private investigators that were hired for this. When Michael and Tom Skakel were questioned by Murphy and Krebs, it was discovered that, surprise, surprise, they had both lied to the police decades prior.
What?
I know. Tom revealed that he had last seen Martha outside his house around 10 p.m. And what was the original time, Miss Goldfish?
9:30.
Yes.
Woohoo.
So, discrepancy. In addition, before returning inside, Tom and Martha, this is so fucking weird, participated in mutual masturbation outside of his house. Right?
Why wouldn't he just say they had sex? What?
Apparently they didn't have sex.
I mean, okay.
Skakel began to cry when he admitted this, according to Krebs, but his lawyer cut him off before he could say anything else. This story kind of goes like hand in hand with your story last week. It's kind of interesting.
What did I do last week?
The never say no story.
Oh, yeah.
When Michael Skakel got home from his cousins at 11, he told the investigator that he had not gone to bed. This little pervert had actually masturbated outside of Martha's bedroom window after climbing a fucking tree.
Why is everybody outside masturbating? What's
Right?
happening?
I don't know.
Everybody's outside
Nothing good.
masturbating.
After obtaining the investigator's report, writer and author Dominic Dunn gave it to State Inspector Frank Garr, who was a former detective on the case. Though his misgivings were disregarded, he had always harbored concerns about Michael Skakel, and his theory would gain fresh impetus from this report. An investigator and a one-man grand jury were tasked with reviewing Martha's case in 1998. In relation to this, grand juries are rare in Connecticut and are only used when all other investigative avenues have been expired. So this is like a big deal.
Yeah.
Judge George N. Thim concluded that there was sufficient evidence to convict Michael Skakel of murdering Martha Moxley. A number of Skakel's former classmates attested that during their time at Elon School, a special education program designed to help troubled kids, Skakel had actually confessed to them to the murder.
Oh.
One former schoolmate, Gregory Coleman, testified in the pre-trial hearing in June 2000 that Skakel told him that, quote, "I am going to get away with murder. I am a Kennedy," unquote.
No, you're a Stackle.
Yeah. Coleman went on to say that he, Skakel, had made a comment that he was trying to make advances towards this girl and that this girl was not complying with those advances, and thus he drove her skull in.
Can't say no.
Yeah. But there is a but. Coleman passed away from a heroin overdose in August 2001. Therefore, he was unable to testify again during Skakel's murder trial in 2002. Died of a drug overdose.
So not a drug overdose.
Who knows? I don't think it was a drug overdose.
So like an Epstein thing.
I have a lot of theories about this.
Oh, I'm excited to hear them.
Oh, it's just the typical shit, but I will tell you.
Okay.
Skakel recorded audio in 1997 for his book Dead Man Talking, A Kennedy Cousin Comes Clean, and he worked as a ghostwriter with Richard Hoffman. During the trial, a particularly damaging recording was played. Skakel said that he was intoxicated, high on marijuana, and sexually aroused on the night of Martha's murder.
Was he outside masturbating?
Yeah, he was in a tree.
Hmm.
That morning, Skakel said he was terrified when Dorothy Moxley knocked on his door. He said, I was still high from the night before and even a little drunk, he said on the tape. On audio. And you trying to like deny this shit?
That's insane.
You fucking stupid. He claimed to have asked himself, sorry, he's fucking stupid. I'm not even gonna apologize for that shit. That's dumb.
Yeah.
If you're gonna hide shit, don't put it on fucking audio tapes.
Yeah.
Claimed to have asked himself, did they see me last night? Skakel stated that he was afraid the Moxleys had seen him masturbating in their tree. But the prosecution contended that Skakel was really talking about being seen hitting Martha with the golf club.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's more likely what it was.
Probably. Skakel's defense countered by claiming that Skakel had an alibi for the period of time when Martha was killed and that there was insufficient tangible evidence to convict him. However, the prosecution presented evidence of a jealous teenager who was under the influence of drugs and alcohol, furious at being rejected by his crush, and had access to the murder weapon.
Well, and the fact that, like, he seems to be a little shit. And to add that into that,
Just very privileged, right? I'm a Kennedy.
Yeah. I'll get away with it. I'm a Kennedy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So with all of this out in the open, the jury came back with a guilty verdict on June 7th, 2002. He was sentenced to 20 years to life in prison for this heinous crime. These next couple parts are going to infuriate you.
Great.
Skakel's attorneys and supporters
Ew.
campaigned to have his conviction overturned while he was incarcerated. There were 4 filed appeals, all of which were turned down.
Oh, okay.
On October 3rd, 23rd.
That's my dad's birthday.
Oh, happy birthday, Tom. On October 23rd, 2013, Skakel was then given permission for a new trial on the grounds that Mickey Sherman, his defense lawyer, had given him constitutionally deficient representation.
Oh my gosh.
And I tried to look up what that fucking meant. And do you think I could find a definition? No. So I don't know what it means. I don't know if he just like didn't do a good enough job or he like was under the influence or some shit. I don't know.
Yeah.
But apparently this was an excuse.
Okay.
So on November 21st, 2013, Skakel was freed on a $1.2 million bail. he was freed. After arduous efforts, the prosecution triumphed in December 2016 when the Connecticut Supreme Court decided, by a vote of 4-3, that Skakel's representation was legitimate.
Oh, good.
However, the case did not end there.
Oh.
In May 2018, the court overturned its previous verdict by a vote of 4-3.
Jessica, this is an emotional roller coaster.
I know. Imagine the family going through all of this shit.
Ugh.
So, its previous verdict by a vote of 4-3, finding that Mickey Sherman, Skakel's attorney, had neglected to provide any evidence of Michael's alibi at the initial trial. So I guess that's probably the deficiency. It's that he didn't provide enough of anything to actually help his client. Skakel's retrial was still an option for prosecutors, although it will undoubtedly be challenging given the deceased witnesses and other issues. What those are, I don't know. Ultimately, the chief state's attorney declined to prosecute Skakel again on October 31st, 2020. So, ties it up on Halloween. That's insane. To this day, Martha Moxley's mother and brother John believe that Michael Skakel is guilty. Dorothy, in particular, is convinced that Skakel's wealth and powerful connections are the reason why he is free today.
Yeah.
The state of Connecticut had a very, very, very good case, and we absolutely know who killed Martha, she said.
Yeah.
If Michael Skakel came from a poor family, this would have been over. But because he comes from if Michael Skakel came from a poor family, this would have been over. But because he comes from a family of means, they've stretched this out all of these years. Yet, there are also people who believe Skakel is innocent, such as his cousin, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who wrote a book entitled Framed: Why Michael Skakel Spent Over a Decade in Prison for a Murder He Didn't Commit. In the introduction, Kennedy writes, "A cyclone of media malpractice consolidated the perfect storm of greed and ambition that ended in Michael's imprisonment. His conviction was a failure of the legal system." In October of 2022, Michael demanded his audio tapes be returned to him. The fear was that if these tapes were not returned to him, that they could be used to further disparage him. And he didn't want that. He has so far been denied the tapes, and I'm pretty sure they were told that the tapes can't be found. So
Interesting.
I don't know. I don't know. Michael Skakel remains free as of December 2022. And yeah.
Living his life.
Yeah, living his life as a Kennedy.
Well, I mean, he was right. He's Kennedy. He got away with it.
I have thoughts.
Tell me your thoughts.
Why was there no DNA testing done?
Well, this was back in the 70s.
But evidence still should have been collected.
True.
And it could have been tested today.
Yeah.
We have all the technology now. We've caught a few different killers. Golden State Killer.
Yeah.
Based off of his DNA from years ago.
Yeah.
You know? So I just and I know that there was no evidence of sexual assault. However, I feel like there would be fingerprints or some shit on the golf club.
Had to be something, right?
Right? And I don't get it. But I think a lot of this has to do with the fact that as I've said throughout the story, they have money. They are a family of means.
Yeah.
Like, this was never going to end in Martha's favor, you know?
Yeah.
He was
Yeah.
a wealthy boy who didn't like somebody saying no to him.
Yeah.
And what the fuck? And I don't understand why they would think that it was the tutor.
Yeah, that didn't make sense to me either.
No, he had literally been there like a day.
And he
Like,
had
that
no
was his
skin in the
first day
game.
there.
Like, what would the point be? Just like
Exactly.
randomly murdered one girl and then called it a day.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's the problem. Like, what the fuck? So I don't understand why. But also, I want to know what those lie detector tests were asking him
Yeah.
and why he kept failing.
I mean, I don't really put much into lie detector tests, but if you continually fail over and over and over, well, or maybe that's showing that he just can't take lie detector tests well. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Or maybe he was told to either A, take the blame, and he was blackmailed by
Mm-hmm.
this rich, powerful family,
Yeah.
or, you know, lie or we fire you.
Yeah.
I'm sure it was a good paying job,
Yeah. Yeah,
you
for
know?
sure.
I don't know, it pisses me off.
Yeah, that's a rough one.
Yeah, no, this whole story pisses me off. So sorry about that.
Yeah, that was awful. And you know, it's funny, some of that sounds familiar and some of it doesn't. So I don't know. I'm sure I heard it at one point and I just forgot.
Yeah.
But
But it happened on Halloween,
mm-hmm.
so I thought it would be a good Halloween story.
Yeah. And we hope all of you have a wonderful and happy Halloween.
Yeah. Do you have any jokes?
I don't, do you?
I do.
Oh, okay.
My wife told me to stop singing I'm a Believer. And I wasn't sure she was joking. But then I saw her face.
I like that. Oh, that's a good one.
What did the ghost say to the skeleton?
I don't know what.
I
I both liked and hated that one.
I made it up on the spot.
Oh, that was
I thought it
great.
was great.
That's great. Well, on that note, if you want more of us lovely ladies, you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and Patreon.
And if you would like to rate and review us, you can do so on Apple Podcasts and Spotify.
Thanks for tuning in. Everybody have a beautiful, safe, happy Halloween. And we look forward to bringing you 2 new stories next week.
Bye.
Bye.